Hi everyone, welcome back to the Private Practice for School Counselors channel. My name is Jenny and I am here to help fellow school counselors find options and grow opportunities. Today we're going to look at some factors to consider as you ask the question, is private practice right for me? So again, the disclaimer, I'm trained as a therapist and a clinical supervisor, but I am not those things when I'm doing the work on this channel. And if you need those things, definitely find someone who can help you. But if you do find the content that I'm sharing in these videos helpful, please like and subscribe so that other people will be able to more easily find the content as well. So we think about many of us as school counselors spend a lot of time helping other people with figuring out future planning and goals and values. But today in this video is a chance for you to get to do some of that for yourself in terms of looking at if private practice would be something that could be helpful for you, something that would work for you. There's a few questions that I thought of that I wanted to ask you to consider. And these are things that I kind of wish that I had taken some time to think about ahead of making certain decisions in my life. When it comes to the LPC, I got that credential kind of just like I said in the last video. It was a stipend from the district to get it, and why not? But I think it's really helpful to just be a little more intentional about it and really think about, what matters to you and how do you want to live your life. So I'm thinking about kind of three main elements of life that could go into this: time, money, and health. So we can start with asking some questions around health and what's important when it comes to health. And so some of the things that I thought of are sleep, nutrition, mental health, spiritual connection, just having joy and opportunities to feel grateful, to have some peace and calm, and to also have physical support with our physical health and social outlets. So those were just a few ideas that I had. You may come up with really different ones for you. When I think about that in terms of private practice versus school counseling, and again, this is just my story so you can see if it fits or if yours is different. But when it comes to sleep, I'm definitely sleeping so much better now with private practice. I can schedule my own hours and I just feel less stress overall. And so it's much easier for me to sleep at night, and that has been just tremendous, very valuable to me, and a big part of why I wanted to look at not working in schools anymore, to be honest. And then with nutrition, I would say one thing that's really nice when I have my days where I'm doing private practice just at home the whole time, which I also have an office, so I mix and match, but especially when I'm just at home, it's really nice because I don't have to rush around and try to make a whole bunch of stuff and put it in Tupperwares and rush out the door like I always had to do when I was working in schools. I'm able to just go to the kitchen and make what I want to make when I'm hungry. I do have things set up with my schedule for the private practice where I have at least a half-hour break in between each client. So that makes it easier for me to kind of get what I need in between. With mental health, I definitely would say, one really nice thing about being a therapist now is when I get trainings to help with being a therapist, a lot of times it's also really helpful for me personally. So it has that kind of double effect. And I just have more chance to reflect and think about some of those things, again, in service of the clients, but also it is helpful for me as well. Spiritual connection, I think that I can see myself carving out more time now for being able to go back to church and do some of the things that I have been missing out on for a while because I've just been too frazzled and busy for a long time. And then with joy, gratitude, peace, and calm, I just have more space in the day. And again, every person is unique and we have different personalities. I'm just learning for myself with my personality that I do better when I have time to reflect and space, and where I can just focus in on one client at a time. One of the things that really drove me nuts as a school counselor was having to carry around a radio, and then I'd be trying to help somebody and the radio would be going off and I'd have to be paying attention to see if it was even something for me or not. But it really made it hard to just have any unencumbered, undivided, focused time, and it really kind of drove me nuts. So I definitely feel a lot more at calm and peaceful now, and it's easier for me to tap into that joy because I have moments of quiet and peace where I can feel it and notice it and embrace it, absorb it. And it's something that I can do with clients where I'm helping them to create moments of joy and gratitude as well. So I get to kind of practice it with other people throughout the day. So that's a really lovely benefit to being a therapist for me. Now, one thing that I would say that is nice about school counseling in this realm of health is the social outlets. There's just a ready-made community. There's so many people. There's such a hustle and a bustle about being in schools that private practice, by comparison, is very, one at a time, and just definitely different as far as that goes. And then also the way that I'm going to connect with clients is different from how I might connect with colleagues and that kind of thing. So that's one thing to consider. Then moving on to money, I would say one question that I thought of to ask of you all as you're thinking about if private practice is right for you, how much do you need? What do you want your money for? What do you want to do with it, both in the short term and in the long term? And I think for me, again, just my experience, I am not totally 100% sure yet because I'm still just starting out with doing full time with the private practice, but it's looking like, and I do take insurance, and most of my clients, almost 100% of them, are going through insurance with me. So, insurance actually doesn't pay too bad. I found some resources to help make it to where each hour that I spend with a client pays me a pretty good rate, and I'm making more money than I ever did as a school counselor. On the flip side of that, I have to pay my own taxes, and right now the way I'm structured as far as my business goes, I have to pay self-employment tax, and I have to pay a good chunk to the IRS for that. I have more business expenses, and the flow of money coming in is really different. Some weeks I have more client hours and some weeks I don't have too many. And then in the summertime, it really kind of sloughed off and everyone was on vacations and I was worried if I was going to get enough clients. And then, then it picks up in the fall is what I'm finding so far. So as far as money goes, those might be a few things to consider. How would you feel about having your source of income be more fluctuating and a little less certain? On the other side, you could potentially make more money than you did in a school, and you have more control over your schedule, over how much of your time you're spending towards making the money that you need. There's also one thing to consider here. Many school districts have a pension that they offer versus Social Security. And then also just getting a salary versus doing contracted work. We'll cover in another video some of the things to think about when it comes to if you have a pension and Social Security, and there's some special rules and things, something called the WEP, but we won't get into that right now. We can just stick with some of the more broader questions here. And then when it comes to having a salary versus doing contracted work, again, it is nice to just kind of know ahead of time, here's what my salary is going to be. It's not going anywhere. I've got a contract for this year and that's it. Whereas with the contract work, again, it can go up, it can go down, it can change. And, so there's a lot that can feel a little more tenuous about it. And so it's just something for me for sure that I'm having to get used to. And a couple other things to think about are healthcare benefits. I have a spouse, so I'm on his benefits for healthcare right now, but if I didn't have that, or if he decided to quit his job or retire early, then we would have to find healthcare some other way. There are some ways as a small business that you can write off the expense of premiums and some of your healthcare costs, but that's still a factor to consider, where with school districts, you just kind of get those benefits handed to you. And then with vacation time, well, if I want to take vacation, it's coming out of time that I otherwise would have been making money. So I don't get paid for that time, and I lose money that I would have been making during that time. So it's just another thing to factor in and bake into the plans. And again, with how much I think I'm going to be able to make, I can take, a week or two or however many that I want off, and it still should be more than what I was making in the schools. But also with the schools, a lot of times we have pretty good vacation times, more than just a couple of weeks for sure. So those are some things to keep in mind. And then the last factor that I thought would be good to look at for this video is time. And so some questions there are, how do you want to spend your time right now in the present moment, as well as in the future? What do you want it to look like? There's the saying by, I believe, Marcus Aurelius, plan as if you'll live forever and live each day as if it were your last. I like that saying. And for me, I think what it has come down to is when I was working in schools, I was really starting to feel like I was spending a lot of time kind of in fight or flight mode, or maybe in freeze. And I'd come home and I'd be pretty checked out, and I really wasn't feeling like I was living a fulfilling life, that my time wasn't really being spent in ways that I really want it to be. And so that was really probably the biggest factor for me to choose to go full-time private practice. My husband really was encouraging me because he could see on the outside just how I just seemed really kind of locked into this kind of traumatic situation. There was just so much coming at me, and I know many of you feel the same way, and not really a lot of time or space to process it until we finally would get to a break, and it would never kind of feel like enough time, and there would always be something else stressful looming large in the future. And so now I can set those things down and really start to just relax into my time and my life, both here and now, as well as thinking about the future and just having time to even plan and reflect on what the future can look like, and just be more planful and intentional about those things like retirement and going on vacations and things like that. So those are my thoughts, those are my 2 cents, and I really encourage you to sit down and kind of think for yourself about those same elements: money, time, and health, and what's important to you. And so again, in the next video, we're going to start to focus in on getting your license to be a therapist. We're going to look at the broad strokes of what that entails. And if you did find anything useful, interesting, helpful in this video, please like and subscribe so that more people can find the content and it can reach others as well. And then let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are, what else you'd like to know about, or just anything else that you're thinking about. I would love to hear from you. Until next time, remember, you have options and opportunities. See you soon.